Now, continuing did reset our points, unfortunately. I don't think I've ever cleared this game without continuing. I don't think anybody ever has in the history of the world. Nobody's ever done it. Of course, that's a lie. Of course, lots of people have beaten Mega Man 1 without continuing, but nobody that I know personally have done it. I should have waited. I should have been patient right there. I am the opposite of patient. I'm schmatient. Woo! Woo, that was a tricksy jump. Alright, now we're into like the turbo tunnel section here. It's like an auto-scroller kind of thing. I mean, it's not literally an auto-scroller, you just can't walk backwards is the idea. Ah, too late. I wanted to fill up my elect a little bit. You know, let's just stand here and farm a little bit. Can you not pause when there's a shot on screen? You can't, can you? That's why I can't pause quickly enough to pick up those elecbots. Elecbots? That's what I'm going with for the weapon energy pickups. You can't pause while there's like an effect on screen, so I can't switch to my elect beam quickly enough. Oh, this game is so fun and archaic and wonderful. I can like walk backwards though and pause the drops on screen. Like yeah, okay. Bought me a little bit of time. Yeah, buddy. This guy's gonna blow up in my face! Nope, we got it. Let's fill up the magnet, because I think there is one more spot in the game where we're gonna use the magnet beam. I really don't want to lose to this boss, because these guts blocks do a lot of damage to the boss, but if you don't hit them with them, they don't regrow, and the boss just becomes a lot harder. And then I don't think much of anything else works on him. Let's try Elect Beam, though. No, doesn't even work. Pretty sure you've got to use the arm cannon. Is the last one? That's the last one. Okay. Whew. Yeah, more than half my health. So I'm glad I went into that battle with full health. Otherwise, that could have been really, really, really bad for me. And here we go. This should be the last level of the game right here. Oh, I forgot about those Jonesmans coming up from the top there. Oh, dang it. I knew about them on this screen here. Like, I knew they would show up here. But I didn't remember on the prior screen. Oh, I feel like such a dope. So here is the Crazy Gutsman factory, where Wily is trying to mass-produce the Gutsmans. You actually fight Gutsman again in Mega Man 7 as a mid-boss. A midi-boss? Yeah, you fight him as a digitized music boss. I used to have an entire collection of MIDI files. I used to love MIDI a lot. Most of what I listened to, music-wise, back in the day, back in the late 90s, I used to write a lot of like fan fiction. That used to be my jam back in the day. And while I was writing, instead of like listening to real music like a person would, I listened to MIDI files. Okay, we want that. And this thing will come back. Now that item there is called the yashichi, and it fills up all your equipment, but we're not really low on equipment, so we're just going to go for it. And I forget which boss is which. Oh, it'll fill up your life too. I really should have got that. Yeah, I really should have got that. Otherwise I'm going to have a hard time fighting Fireman. I think it's Bomb Man, then Ice Man, then Fireman, I think. No, Fireman's first. I'm not gonna make it. Oh my god, I still gotta go through Gutsman and Iceman. But I might be able to get really, really cheesy with the pause trick. Yeah. Whew. The dodges are real. Why don't you guys give a little bit of health? Oh, just a little bit of health. It'd be great. Oh god. 2 bars against Gutsman. Nope. Oh, maybe. Oh my god. Oh my god, the clutch again! 2 clutches in Mega Man 1. That's good, kids. That's, you know what? I keep saying, if you're gonna cut it in a very particular way. This boss is gonna school my nuts. This boss is gonna go nowhere, so we'll just take the death here. Sometimes you just gotta know when to take the death, you know what I mean? So, really, this boss is just about knowing, like, trying to goad that little pattern there. So let's actually go in with the correct weapon this time. For once in the game, the correct weapon's not the Elect Beam, though. The correct weapon is actually Fire Beam. I used to know that there's actually correct names for these items, but because you don't get a You Got Weapon screen in Mega Man 1, I don't remember them. But there is an actual terminology for them. I'm pretty sure it uses them in Powered Up, and I just didn't remember. But now, for the second half, we're going to switch to the Elect Beam. Naturally. This is our life. This is how we do. We kill him with as much of this beam as possible. 1 dot at a time. I know why I'm not taking damage then. I'm doing what's called faint warping. When you pause and unpause, Mega Man goes into like his little teleport animation for a split second. And during that particular animation, he can't be damaged. That's why that happened. That's how I survived the Yellow Devil fight. I totally forgot about that. Wow, it's all coming back to me now. And that's it. That's Mega Man 1. I'm glad that it came back to me at the tail end of the game. It would have been nicer if I hadn't lost all those lives on Wily Stage 1, because that would have meant we could have maybe cleared it without continuing. But probably not. So I've ended the evil domination of Dr. Wily. That's a lie. That's like a damn lie, because there's 5 more Mega Man games to go. So fight, Mega Man, for everlasting peace. One of the most iconic phrases in early video gaming right there. Very, very mimetic, that phrase. Look how small the teams used to be to make games like this. Look how tiny this team is. Nowadays, you get hundreds and hundreds of people in the credits. Unless it's an indie game on Steam. In which case, you get like 9 people in the credits and then 6,000 people listed for the Kickstarter backers. And the rare shot of Mega Man without his armor on. Good old naked Mega Man. So, I'm gonna say, now that Mega Man 1 is behind me, the rest of this Let's Play should be pretty smooth sailing. I'm a lot better at the next 5 games than I am at this one. Particularly Mega Man 3. Mega Man 3 is my jam. I'm so good at that game that I actually did a Let's Play of it. The very first Let's Play I ever put on this channel was Mega Man 3, sped up with an emulator to make it more difficult. So that's the end of Mega Man 1, guys. We got 5 more games to go. Let's just move right on into Mega Man 2. Yeah, here it is, kids. This game's got an intro sequence and everything. I like how they use the music in the Mega Man 2 prologue as a remix from the ending theme we just heard at the end of Mega Man 1. It's a nice little touch. So, even back in the day, even back in 1989, I think this game was, they were pioneering innovations in video game storytelling. I don't know what is in this building, but it's the biggest building I think I've ever seen in my life. Maybe it's the Chrysler building. That's the Parasite Eve Chrysler building. Sorry, it would have just been rude to talk over the awesome Mega Man 2 music. This is the only Mega Man game with difficulty settings, and normal difficulty is basically WIMP difficulty, so we're totally not doing it. So yeah, Mega Man 2, this is the game, this was the first really popular Mega Man game. Like, this is the one that started the series in the minds of a lot of people. A lot of people never played Mega Man 1, they jumped straight into this game, and we're going to jump straight into this guy with the saw blade on his head. And it's easy to see why. This game, they stepped everything up. The physics feel a lot better. They're not as slippy as in Mega Man 1. You have energy tanks now, which is one of the best innovations in any early video game ever, energy tanks. Because essentially what energy tanks allow you to do, if there's a part in the game that's just too hard, that you just can't get past it, you just can't seem to beat this boss or whatever, the energy tank is there to bail you out. In this game, the designers very consciously did not have the mindset of, they need to play the game the way we want them to play it, or else they don't get to play it at all. The way Mega Man 1 had some scenarios like that. Mega Man 2 does as well, to a degree. There are some parts of Mega Man 2 where you really have to get into the mind of the designer, and there's one specific way to do a part, and if you don't do it that way, you don't get to win. And we'll see some of those later. And now, 30 years later, those scenes are considered to be some of the weakest scenes in Mega Man 2. So, there's one in particular, actually two in particular, towards the end of the game that we'll see and talk about a little bit when we get there. But for the most part, they just designed a really fun and really challenging game, and then built in some safeguards. Like, what if a player just can't beat this boss? What if a player just can't get through this screen? Well, we have energy tanks now, and it's brilliant. It lets the player decide what scenes they want to basically skip. What scenes, like, do I not want to sit down and learn this boss fight? Do I not want to die a million times against this boss before I finally win? And that's my opinion. That is why the Mega Man series has endured for so long. And so many other NES games from this era did not have the same following. This game is so strong because, as difficult as it is, as challenging as it is, as Nintendo hard as it gets, it gives you the tools you need to set your own pace. Mega Man's already good at that because he can take a lot of hits before dying. You can make a lot of mistakes in Mega Man before you get a game over, and that wasn't really the case in a lot of old school NES games back in the day. Like I said last video, they had this they were just growing out of this arcade mentality. Capcom was in the late 80s, developing for the NES. So they started kind of branching out. What kind of games can we make now that we don't have this arcade mentality anymore? And that's where some of the game design ideas for Mega Man came from, and it was such a success that it really set the pace for what a lot of these kind of games on the NES would go on to be. When you look at especially some of Nintendo's later outings on the NES, when you look at Mario 1 versus Mario 3, when you look at games like Kirby's Adventure is one of the last really popular platformers on the NES, and that game was very forgiving in a lot of ways. It gave you a lot of ways to set your own pace. And that's really the initial triumph of Mega Man as a series, and it really started with Mega Man 2. Legend has it that the history of this game, that Mega Man 1, Capcom produced it, whatever, but it didn't, it wasn't really the runaway hit that they probably wanted it to be. It didn't sell as much as they wanted. So they didn't greenlight Mega Man 2 right away. Instead, the team that developed Mega Man 2, Inafune and his team at the time, believed so much in this little character that they had made that they made Mega Man 2 in their off hours in between the other projects Capcom had them assigned to. That's the legend. Whether or not it's true, I don't know, but that's the legend. And it really shows that this game is a labor of love. In a way, this game is the original Kickstarter game. It was made by developers not because they wanted to turn a profit, not because they needed to hit sales figures or budget goals, but because a team of developers believed so strongly in the character that they had created, and they wanted to develop more for that same character and that same situation. And it really shows. Every inch of this game has that sense of just pure love in it. And that resonated with people back in the day. That resonated with fans. This game was a phenomenon. And it's really easy to see why Capcom, after this, greenlighted Mega Man 3, and then why it became a yearly installment on Nintendo. 1990 through 94, I think. Every year, there was a new Mega Man game on the NES. And all of them were really good, because the people who were making them believed in them. They didn't change a lot. That's one of the criticisms of the early Mega Man series, was there's not a lot of innovation. After they nailed the core concepts to the floor, they really didn't do a whole lot to grow the concept like they would do later on with the X series and future Mega Man games, where they added in like shops and all kinds of other stuff. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, none of those additions to the series panned out, because what happened? Mega Man became kind of a joke in the eyes of its fan base. It fell by the wayside. Capcom didn't really know what to do with it anymore. So they had to go back to the drawing board for Mega Man 9. What do we absolutely know works on the Mega Man formula? What cruft can we cut out to just go back to making a solid Mega Man game that we know everybody will enjoy? And that's why Mega Man 9 resembles Mega Man 2 so much. This was not my first Mega Man game as a kid. My first Mega Man game was Part 3. That's the first one that I beat. It's the first one that I loved. To this day, it's my favorite game in the series. But Mega Man 2 was the second game we played. After Mega Man 3, we used to rent games all the time from Blockbuster, and they had Mega Man on the shelf. So we rented Mega Man 2, and it was, in our opinion, it was just a lot more of the same. It was just the solid gameplay that we liked from 3. Just, a little less polished. And we were kids. We didn't know what the hell polish meant. That wasn't really important to us. We liked Mega Man 3 more. And one of the reasons, this is a good story, and you might not know this, but back in the day, back in the 90s, a company named Galoob made a peripheral, an unlicensed peripheral for the NES called the Game Genie. And the Game Genie was essentially a hex editor. It was essentially a ROM hacker. It went in and edited memory addresses in the NES ROM. So when you played the game, there were cheat codes. It changed things about the game. So it had things like infinite life codes and whatever. But for some reason, Mega Man 1 and 2, the way the sound is programmed in those games, changing those addresses around to give Mega Man infinite energy or more lives or whatever the case may be, caused the music to get corrupted really, really badly. We used Game Genie to play friggin' everything, because we rented from Blockbuster. We only had the game for 3 days. If we couldn't beat the game in a weekend, we didn't get to beat it. So, we used the Game Genie to play a lot of these games. In Mega Man 2, that ended up to be a bad idea, which we'll see later in the game. But, yeah, because we were using Game Genie, we didn't know that it was a corruption of the music. We just thought the music was really, really bad. So, we liked the sound a lot better in Mega Man 3, because Mega Man 3, when you used the Game Genie, didn't have that same issue. The music didn't sound warbled and warped. Also, Mega Man 3 has built-in cheat codes, which are essentially debug features they left in the game. And so a lot of times, we didn't play with a Game Genie, we just played with those debug features. But the problem with using cheat codes that are not intended by the developers is that you can get yourself into unwinnable situations, and that happens in both Mega Man 2 with the Game Genie and Mega Man 3 with the debug codes. And we'll talk about those things a little bit as we go. Airman. Now, one side product of not knowing about Mega Man 2, when we first played Mega Man 3, is the second half of Mega Man 3, you have to fight the bosses for Mega Man 2 again. Oh, that sound effect is just in my brain, it's drilling away. You have to fight what's called Doc Robot. And there are 4 Doc Robot stages, you fight him twice in each stage, and each time he takes on the persona of a boss from Mega Man 2. We knew there was a Mega Man 2, and we knew that they had bosses similar to the bosses in Mega Man 3. We knew there was going to be 8 of them, they each had their own weapon, they were about Mega Man size, etc. But we didn't know their names, so we had to make up names for them. So, we didn't know this was Airman. We thought he was Radioactive Man, because he has the radiation symbol in his chest. It's supposed to be fan blades, but we thought it was the radiation symbol. So that was Radioactive Man back in the day. Shoutouts to Bob for sponsoring this video, and to everyone who makes this channel possible by supporting me on Patreon.